What if I told you there's so many things that you're doing wrong that's preventing you from building muscle? Let me explain. Today's episode, I'm going to be explaining how to build muscle the right way. And I'm going to break it down so simple for you that anyone could watch this video and start building muscle straight away. Hi, my name is Kwame. I'm a professional world champion bodybuilder, and I'm here to educate you and help you. Now let's talk about muscle building. First of all, how does your body build muscle? First of all, you have to challenge your body in order for it to build muscle. Your body needs to be shocked. You guys have heard the term, you shock the muscle? That term is basically true, but in different ways than expected. When I say shock the muscle, it doesn't necessarily mean just surprise the muscle. There's two ways to build muscle. We've got one, a progressive overload, which I'll explain later, and two, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. And I know these words sound so big, and this is why I'm going to break them down. Now, what a progressive overload is basically exactly as it is. A progressive overload is basically challenging the muscles beyond the load that is put on. So that's done in a progressive amount of time. This is why it's very important to track your training. Let me explain. If I'm doing a bicep curl, everyone knows what the bicep curl is. I'm doing it with 0 kilos right now. All of a sudden, I start to put 5 kilo dumbbells in each arm. I have formed a progressive overload, and the way I've done this is by increasing the weight and the load. Now, there's so many different ways to progressive overload. It's not always by weight. Let's say I'm doing bicep curls and I do 20 kilos and I get up to 20 kilos and I plateau. I want to improve it. But biceps is not like squats where I could keep progressing 100 kilos, 120, 130. Although you can still keep increasing your strength in that, this is a much smaller muscle. So how am I going to progressively overload this? And this is where it comes into it. I can increase the 10 kilos that I'm doing for 10 reps into 12 reps. So one of the ways we can progressively overload is by increasing our reps. And this will be still putting more tension on the muscles. I'm going to be getting more tears in the muscle fibers, which are going to help me with growth. Now, let's say I am doing 12 and I peak at 12 for 10 kilos and I've been stuck there for so long and I literally can't break 10 kilos for 12 reps. How do I still progressively overload? I'm gonna go 10 kilos for 12 reps and I'm gonna drop it and then grab 5 kilos and then I'll do 15 reps of that. Here, I'm still progressively overloading. What I am doing this time is I am adding more tension by, once my muscle has gone to failure, I'm dropping the weight and then pushing it to close to failure again. So I'm still overloading the muscle. So hopefully this helps you get a good idea of what a progressive overload is. We're basically overloading the muscle, like exactly the words as it is, with tension in the muscle. And this is one of the biggest catalysts for muscle growth. You need this to grow. So if you are training, especially with resistance training, and you are not challenging the muscle in this way, you might be missing out on growth. Progressive overload is awesome. Your routine is awesome as well too. But before I get into our routine and structure, let's talk about the other way I was talking about, which is called sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Now, to break it down, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is increasing the amount of muscle glycogen uptake by the muscles so they look fuller. Let me break this down. When you eat carbs or when you eat food, the food is broken down into glucose. Those carbs can break down to glucose. Let's just call it carbs for now to make it simple. And those carbs go into the muscles as glycogen. We call it glycogen. That's not a hard word to understand. Now, my muscles can only take in a certain amount of glycogen. And right now, because I've had my carbs, they look fuller. Now, if my muscles could take in more glycogen, I'll even look fuller and bigger. So, with this type of training, we are going to be increasing how much these muscle cells can take so that they can swell up, and then this actually makes me appear to look bigger. So this is a different type of hypertrophy called sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, and it's still important. So how do we execute sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is the question. And I said I'm going to keep this super simple. Now, this is going to be more of a volumized training. So imagine if I'm sitting there and I'm hitting 20 reps, pumping as much blood into the muscle. I'm going for drop sets, I'm going in for combined sets, I'm going into metabolic training where there's so much minimal rest, I'm pumping as much blood into the muscle. Although I'm going to be improving my overall tension on the muscle, my overall goal is to pump as much blood into these muscle cells so they swell up so big, they get better at taking up glycogen. into the muscle cells. So that's our sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. As a result, my muscles are going to appear bigger. So our goal is not to be developing more muscle fibers on this one, is more increasing the size of the muscle cells in the plasma increase. So that's there explained for you. Now combining it has also so many benefits. So there's a study that showed, and I can't remember exactly what study it was, but it showed the increase in growth hormone from training that way as well. So I have to go back to that. Like I said, I'm very honest with you guys, and I'm very transparent. So if I can't remember, I'll tell you. There's so many different benefits of training that way too. Another benefit is you can undulate your periodization. Without sounding, is this, you can actually train and use both. So you can have days where you go more heavier, then days that you go more volume. You're going to be shocking the muscle in different ways, and you're also going to allow for recovery. This actually allows you to structure your program effectively, and I think this is probably one of the best periodization moments or ways, or the best way to structure your workouts in general, because this allows 1, more blood to the muscle, or 2, heavy days. 3, reduces the pressure of the joints, especially if you're lifting heavy on some days. 4, you pull more blood into the muscle, which also means that there's going to be more blood closer to the joints, and it's going to speed up recovery. Now, if you could train continuously without getting injured, people will be a lot more jacked than they are, because if your recovery is quick and you never got injured, you could just keep training. And the more you increase your frequency with training, is what we're going to talk about as well too, the more you grow. If you can train and increase your frequency, so frequency is how often you train, and you recover, if your frequency with recovery is also good, you will build muscle, 100%. There's other factors that are going, like genetics, myostatin levels, whatever, but every single person still can build muscle. The problem is they're not doing it the right way. We talked a bit about the training side of things. Let's talk about nutrition. If you want to build muscle, you're going to have to be in a surplus. Now, I'm not talking about the full daddy ball, KFC, Marcus, whatever. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to be a hater for any type of food. You eat what you want. Doesn't bother me. However, make sure your food is nutritious and is serving you right. If you want to build muscle, you need a good amount of protein in your diet. Now, I'll show you one little trick as well too with building muscle. If your goal is purely to build muscle, insulin is a very anabolic hormone. And I'm not saying go have insulin, I'm saying let your body secrete it naturally for you. And a great way to stimulate insulin secretion after you work out, have a simple sugar with your protein. And insulin is going to be very sensitive at that point, and you're going to have an insulin spike. What that's going to do is it's going to start to speed up your recovery. So see how recovery comes back so much. It is so important, because the faster you can recover, the harder you can train, the more frequent you can train, and the more muscle you're going to build. So we got training to intensity. So intensity is number 1, recovery number 2, and frequency number 3. Now these 3 pillars will get you building muscle if done properly. With nutrition, number 4, you have to eat in the surplus, because your body is going to need that energy to recover. It doesn't have to be in a very big surplus, and this is the big mistake that people make. They go into a dirty bulk and eat whatever, and they're eating 10,000 calories over their maintenance, and that doesn't serve you well. In fact, it actually does the opposite. It makes your body focus on other things that it has to do, survive while you're having a heart attack, as opposed to actual focus on building muscle. Muscle building is not going to be a priority for your body. It's got your health to deal with. So take care of your health, so then muscle building becomes a priority, if that makes sense. Okay, and you want to feel good in this process. Now let's talk a little bit about supplementation. One of the core supplements I would recommend when it comes to muscle building is creatine. Creatine is the most studied supplement in the world, full stop. So it's been said for the most amount of time. That also means we've also had more eyes on it, and if there's anything negative about it, it will be out by now. We studied for that many years. Creatine has been shown to help with muscle building. How? Improving recovery. It also improves your hydration as well too, and it's going to keep you fuller and looking jacked, and your strength gains in the gym is going to be good, and it's been recently associated with brain health as well too. So that's another interesting study. So if there's one thing that I know, have your protein. Make sure that you have an adequate amount of protein. Now, people ask me, do I need to take protein powder? Look, you don't need to have protein powder. You can get it from food. However, no one's got a perfect life. No one's going to be sitting there. No one also has perfect digestion. That's where it comes into play. I could be eating 500 grams of chicken, but how much am I actually absorbing? That also depends on your gut health. So there's a lot of factors. So if something is breaking down, easily absorbed, that's a supplement for you. So I'm going to let you guys be the judge of it. I'm not saying that you have to have it. I'm saying that that's breaking down easily, readily absorbable, and when I finish my workout I can have this straight away. Super easy. I'm not replacing my food with it. I'm just using it to add up and bulk up to have more protein. So that's a great one. Your fats are just as important. Your healthy fats are just as important. Your omegas are very important as well, not just for your muscle building but for your health, but even your joint health. Your omega-3s can be very handy because they do help with lubricating the joints, with your synovial fluid production. So that's super important as well too. So I think one of the things I want to leave you guys with as well, before I finish this, again, I'm doing this just off the go. I'm not reading off of anything, so some of my pointers are just coming to my head. But so before I leave, there's one more thing as well too is, and I see this quite often, a lot of the time people don't focus on technique. Intensity is most important, but technique is also super important. If you can learn technique and add intensity to technique, you are a winner. Let me explain. If I'm doing a bicep curl like this, I'm probably going to be hitting more of my shoulders because I'm just getting that shoulder raise or abduction. If I go here, my biceps, see my elbow flexes and then my biceps activate. If I'm lifting 5 kilos like this on my biceps, or 2 kilos like this, I'm going to probably get more growth through the 2 kilos. Now what I'm just trying to tell you is that if you're not actually activating the muscle that you want to target and grow properly, that's what technique is, then a lot of the time you'll be missing out. And it's super important to analyze your technique. I'm not saying your technique has to be perfect, no, because sometimes with intensity your technique might be a little bit off, and that's okay. No one's perfect. You don't have to be perfect to build muscle. However, it's important to have a good enough technique that you can feel the muscles work. That's a very easy cue for everyone to be able to gauge. Feel those muscles work and you are laughing already. You know that then once you feel the muscles work, start to progressively overload as well too. Structure your program in a way that allows you to recover effectively as well too. Undulated periodization, I think, is one of the easiest and best ways to be able to structure your program, and I think you will do well. First of all, I just want to say thank you for listening, especially for all of you that made it to the end of this video. Please comment below what you want to see more of, and don't forget to hit that like button, comment and subscribe, and your boy will be bringing you more. Let's build that muscle. Let's go. Peace.